Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start the day with some prayers first. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhurбhavасва, Tatsavetra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto ma sadgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityurma amritam gamya. Om Sehna Bhavatu Sehna Bhunaktu Seviryam Karvavai Tejasvi Navaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Open your Uddhava Gita books. Page number 315, chapter number 11. Lord Krishna's description of the Varnashrama system. So there's a summary before this chapter starts. Let me read the summary. Previously, Supreme Lord Shri Krishna had assumed the form of Hansa and explained to Lord Brahma and other sages the duties of the brahmachari and grihasthanas. In this chapter, the Lord further describes these matters to Uddhava. After Uddhava inquires from Shri Krishna about the principles of the Varna and Ashram orders of society, the Lord replies that in the first age, Satya Yuga, there was only one Varna called Hansa. In that age, people were automatically dedicated to unalloyed devotional service right from their very birth. And since everyone was perfect in all respects, the age was called Krita Yuga. In that age, the Vedas were manifest in the form of the sacred syllable Om. The Supreme Lord was the object of everyone's meditation, and all the limbs of religion were fully manifested. There were no formal performances of Vedic sacrifices. People were naturally pious and inclined to perform austerities, and they simply engaged in meditation on the personal form, the Supreme Lord. In the following age, Treta Yuga, the three Vedas became manifest from the heart of the Supreme Lord, and from them the three forms of sacrificial fire. At that time, the system of 4 Varnas and 4 ashrams, which prescribes material and spiritual duties for the different members of society, manifested from the limbs of the Supreme Lord. According to how those divisions appeared from the higher and lower bodily limbs of the Supreme Lord, they were endowed with higher and lower qualities. After this description, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna explains the nature of those in each of the 4 Varnas, as well as those who are outside the limits of the 4 Varnas. The Lord also describes those qualities that pertain to humanity in general. Members of the higher social orders are qualified to take second birth. After receiving the sacred thread initiation, they should go to live in the Gurukula, the home of the spiritual master, as brahmacharis. There the student should practice self-control and absorb himself in the study of the Vedas. He should keep matted hair and is forbidden to wash his teeth, prepare a nice seat for himself, talk while bathing or evacuating, cut his hair and nails or any time pass semen. He must regularly perform worship at the 3 junctures of the day and must render devotional service to his spiritual master in a spirit free from envy. A brahmachari must offer to the Guru whatever food and other things he collects by begging. He gladly accepts for his maintenance whatever remnants of the Lord he is granted. He should render menial service to the spiritual master by massaging his feet and worshipping him, and he should avoid all sense gratification and strictly maintain the vow of celibacy. He should surrender himself completely to the Supreme Lord and engage in worshipping him in the form of a Paramatma according to the rules and regulations prescribed for him. For brahmacharis, seeing or touching women and conversations or sports in the company of women are absolutely disallowed. Maintaining cleanliness and performing achman for purification are recommended for members of all the ashrams. Everyone is advised to remember that the Supreme Lord as the Super Soul is residing within all living entities. After studying all the different aspects of the Vedas, a Brahman who has material desires may, with the permission of his spiritual master, enter household life. Otherwise, if he has no material desires, he may enter the Vanprastha or Sannyas ashram. The proper order of succession should be followed in changing from one spiritual order to the next. One who desires to enter household life should accept a wife who is of the same Varan as himself, who is not condemnable, and who is younger than he. The obligatory duties of the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are worship of the Supreme Lord, study of the Vedas, and giving charity. Only Brahmins have the privilege of accepting charity, teaching the Vedic scriptures to others, and conducting sacrifices. If a Brahman finds some fault in these three occupations, he may maintain himself by collecting grains from the agriculture fields. If a Brahman is extremely poverty-stricken and thus in dire need of money, he may accept the profession of a Kshatriyas or Vaishyas, but he should never accept the occupation of a Shudra. In a similar situation, a Kshatriya may accept the occupation of a Vaishya and a Vaishya that of a Shudra. When such an emergency has passed so that there is no more imminent danger, one should not continue to earn his livelihood by means of a lower occupation. A Brahman who remains fixed in performing his occupational duties while giving up insignificant material desires always remains under the protection of the Supreme Lord. The householder should study the Vedas daily and maintain his family members with the wealth he has honestly earned by engaging in his occupation. And he should worship the Supreme Lord according to his capacity. Remaining unattached to family life and fixed in devotion to the Supreme Lord, a householder may finally accept the Vanprastha, or if he has a grown up son, he may directly take sannyas in order to completely devote his time to the worship of the Supreme Lord. But persons who are extremely lusty after women, who have no power of discrimination, and who are mad after earning wealth and amassing possessions, remain in constant anxiety over the well-being of their family members and are doomed to take their next birth in a lower species of life. So this is the summary given for this chapter by this author. So now let's start this chapter. And it starts out with Uddhav's questions and some comments over here. So that's why it says Shri Uddhav Uvacha. So first two verses, they go together. Yas tavya bihitaha purvam dharmastvad bhakti lakshnaha varna ashram acharvatam sarvesham dvipadam api. And the second verse is Yatha anushtiye manen tavei bhaktir nirinam bhavet swadharmenam vindaksha tan mam akhyatum aharasi. Shri Uddhav said, you have described the principles of devotional service that are performed by the followers of the Varnashram system, as well as those who lead unregulated lives. O lotus-eyed Lord, kindly tell me how people can attain your loving service by the execution of their prescribed duties. So after hearing from Lord Krishna about the processes of Gyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga, which we saw in the last chapter, Uddhava now inquires about the practice of Karma Yoga as a means of attaining perfection. So duties are Karma Yoga. The Supreme Lord had previously said that by the influence of time, the transcendental Vedic knowledge was lost at the time of annihilation. Then when the subsequent creation took place, I imparted the Vedic knowledge to Brahma because I myself am the principles of religion enunciated therein. So this is from Bhagavad Puran. Religious principles are delineated in the Vedic literature. Devotional service, which is the perfection of religion, is divided into three categories. Keval Bhakti, Pravadhani Bhut Bhakti, and Guni Bhut Bhakti. Of the three, Keval Bhakti can be executed by members of all the ashrams. Indeed, even those who are outside the purview of the Varnashram society can engage in unmotivated devotional service if they faithfully associate with saintly devotees. There is no other way for attaining perfection other than to attain the association of pure devotees. So this is like the power of Sangha. The Lord has confirmed this again in Bhagavad Purana. Even though one engages with great endeavor in the mystic yoga system, philosophical speculation, giving charity, executing vows and penances, performing ritualistic sacrifices, teaching the Vedic mantras to others, a personal study of the Vedas, or the renounced order of life, still one cannot achieve me. If one associates with saintly devotees, then he can attain pure devotional service, whether he follows the principles of Varna Ashram or not. So that is the power of Sangha, Satsanga. One who gives up all ordinary religious principles to worship me alone is the foremost among human beings. So now later on, following this, it says, by the association of devotees and from the execution of one's occupational duties, the Supreme Lord alone knows how one can receive and seed of the creeper of devotional service unto him. The word bhakti in this verse refers to Pradhani Bhut Bhakti and Guni Bhut Bhakti. So that is like a devotional part, the service part. So Uddhava says further in next few more verses, verse 3 to verse 7. So again Uddhava is speaking. Pura kil mahabaho dharmam parmakam prabho yat ten hans rupen brahmane bhayatat madhav sa idanim sa mahata काल ना मित्र कर्षण न पायो भविता मृत्य लोके प्राग अनुशासिता वक्तः कर्तः विता नान्य धर्मस्य अच्युते ते भुवि सभायाम अपि वैरिंच्याम यत्र मूर्ति धरा कला कर्त्रः वित्रः प्रवक्त्रः च भवता मधुसूदन त्यक्ते महितले देव विनष्टकं प्रवर्षति. And the last one in this segment is verse number 7. Tatatvam na sarva dharmagya dharmas tvad bhakti lakshana yatha yasya vidhyet tatha varne me prabhu. So Uddhava is saying, O mighty armed one, my dear Lord, previously as Lord Hans, you spoke to Lord Brahma about the religious principles that bring supreme happiness to the followers. My dear Madhav, much time has now passed, so that what you had previously instructed will soon be forgotten. O subduer of the enemy, O Lord Achyuta, you are the sole protector of religious principles. My dear Lord Madhusudan, you are the actual propounder of religious principles. When you return to your own abode, who will continue to propagate the true understanding of religious principles? My dear Lord, as the perfect knower of the religious principles, please describe to me the path of devotional service. And tell me the qualifications of one who is to traverse this path. Okay, with the time, things get forgotten. So that's why, Lord Krishna has mentioned that also in Bhagavad Gita too, that I told it to Manu and Manu told it to Shwaku and all that. So now Uddhava is saying the same thing, that as time passes, the human beings forget. Can you tell us again? And the way he is asking, we learn a lot. How should we ask? Okay, not ordering the Guru, but requesting with humility and showing a full faith. So there are 18 divisions of knowledge as described in the Vedic literature. The 4 Vedas, Rig, Sam, Yajur and Atharva, Purans, Nyaya Shastra, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra, Kalap, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Jyotish, Chand, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharv Veda, and Arthashastra. In the beginning of creation, the first created being, Brahma, received knowledge of the supreme religious principles from Lord Hans. And we saw that in the previous chapters. From him, Brahma and the Brahmins attained an understanding of the Ekayan process of spiritual practice. In the course of time, however, misguided transcendentalists began to practice the supreme religious principles which are based on the devotional service of the Lord in a perverted manner. When a pure spirit soul becomes materially contaminated, he gives up the supreme religious principle of devotional service to the Lord and becomes inclined to perform fruitive activities. So fruitive activities means doing the religious acts also, but thinking that I'm going to get this fruit, which is called as Sakam Bhakti. So he's calling it a perverted way to worship God. Engage in the cultivation of knowledge or endeavor for perfection in mystic yoga. These activities are illusory because they are based on the material conception of life and have nothing to do with the constitutional position of the living entity. Sanatan Dharma refers to devotional service alone. Verse number 8. If you remember this, the Shukadeva, because there's a conversation, because this is Uddhava Gita is a part of Bhagavad Puran. And Bhagavad Puran, there's a Shukadeva. And who is Shukadeva? Shukadeva is a son of Vedvyasa. He is the one who's giving all this knowledge. To whom? To Parikshit. Okay, so that's why this Shri Shuk Vach over here in text number, or the verse number 8. Itham svabhritye mukhen prishtha Bhagwan Hari pritaha kshemaye martyanam dharman aha sanatanan. Shri Shukdev said, Shri Uddhava, the foremost of devotees, thus inquired from the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, was pleased to hear the words of his devotee. Because these words, the way they were spoken, and the intention behind these questions was so pure. So that's why Shri Krishna was pleased to hear the words of his devotee, and for the benefit of everyone, he described eternal religious principles. So now we'll read what Lord Krishna is telling Uddhava and to us also. Verse number 9, Shri Bhagwan Uvaj. Dharme esh tav prashno, ne shreyas karo nrinam, varn ashrama charvatam, tam Uddhav no bodh me. The Supreme Lord said, my dear Uddhava, your question is glorious because it is in accordance with the religious principles and thus leads the followers of Varnashram to life's ultimate goal, pure devotional service. Now listen attentively as I talk about eternal religious principles. The word dharman refers to these supreme religious principles here. The religious principles prescribed for ordinary men are far different from eternal religious principles prescribed for the devotees of the Lord. Ordinary persons are materialistic, and so their religious principles are simply meant to gradually elevate them to the mode of goodness. So that's why this dharma word itself is a big word. It definitely means goodness also. Discussion of eternal religious principles are the most auspicious topics for civilized human beings. The Varna Ashram system is a social order based upon religious principles that gradually leads one to the point of Krishna consciousness. Adau krit yuge varno nrinam hans iti samrita krit kritya pragya jatya tasmat krit yugam vitu. In the beginning, in Satyayug, there was only one social class known as Hans, to which all human beings belonged. In that age, human beings engaged in unalloyed devotional service, right from their birth. And thus, learned scholars call this first age as Krita Yuga. So Satyayug or Krita Yuga, the same thing. Shri Krishna is instructing Uddhava about Varnashram Dharma, beginning from its inception. The period of time when human beings were not polluted by the three modes of material nature is called Krita Yuga or Satyayug. Ekayan Padhati refers to the period of time when the Varnas were not divided. That undivided Varn was known as Hans. The super soul is referred to as a Hans, and the devotees are those who are maintained by the Hans. Vedaha Pranav Ev Agrehe Dharmo Ham Vrish Rup Drik Upaste Teo Nishtha Hansam Mam Mukt Kilbashah. In Satyayug, the undivided Veda is expressed by the syllable Om. So Pranav is Om. And I am manifest as the four-legged bull of religion. The pious inhabitants of that age are fixed in austerity, tapa, and with their mind and senses fully under control. They meditate on my transcendental form as Hansa. So the four legs of the bull represent the four parts of the Lord's opulence as manifested in this world. The condensed form of the Lord's holy name in the form of Om is the origin of the Vedas. That's why we see all the mantras. First thing we recite is Om. Om. Treta mukhe mahabhag प्राणान में हृदयात्रे विद्या प्रादुर्भूत तस्या aham asam trivrinmaka. O greatly fortunate one, at the beginning of Treta Yuga, Vedic knowledge was manifested from my heart, which is the shelter of the life air. The Vedas appeared in three divisions: the Rig, Sam, and Yajur. From the three Vedas, I manifested three kinds of sacrifice. Okay. So after the Sat Yuga or Krita Yuga comes the Treta Yuga. The Supreme Lord said, from the heart of my universal form appeared the three Vedas, and from them appeared the three kinds of sacrifice, known as Atra, Adharvyava, and Adhugatra. It is described in the scriptures that Lord Vishnu appeared in his form as a Yajna. When one leg of religion was lost, the three Vedas, Rig, Sam, and Yajur, came into being. The three performers of Vedic sacrifices, known as Hota, Udgata, and Adharvaryu, also appeared. So those are like a different ways to do the Vedic performances. Verse number 13. Vipra kshatriye Vitshutraha mukh bahuru padja Verajat purushaj jataha ya atmachara lakshana. In Treta Yuga, the four Varans, the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, along with their occupational duties and characteristics, appeared from the mouth, arms, thigh, and legs of the universal form of the Lord, respectively. So in the beginning of the creation, the natural propensities of the spirit souls were manifest, but gradually, in the course of time, their qualities and nature became contaminated. It's like with the time, with the aging, the things become, there's a pollutants come there. So in Satyug, in the Krita Yuga, everybody knew what the purpose of life is. With the time, people forget. The four social orders of human society came into existence from four parts of the Lord's universal form: his mouth, arm, thighs, and legs. In this way, human beings were divided into four classes according to their qualities and propensities for work. So that means according to their own aptitude, they were divided. Grihi ashramaho jagnato brahmacharyam hridomam vaksha sathalad vanevasaha sanyasaha shirasi sthita. The married order of life, the Grihastha ashram, appeared from the lines of my universal form. And the celibate students, the brahmacharya ashram, appeared from my heart. The forest dwelling retired order of life, the Vanaprastha ashram, appeared from my chest. And the renounced order of life, the sannyasa ashram, appeared from my head. So it says like a bottom up. The heart is considered to be below the chest. So it's like a one and the next one and the next one higher and the highest sannyas. Verse number 15. Varna nam ashrama nam cha janam bhume anusarane asan prakrityaho nrinam nichair nichot mutmama. The four Varans and 4 ashrams were then manifested according to the higher and lower natures of the conditioned soul. So remember, not the soul, but conditioned soul. Okay. The Brahmins and sannyasis are situated on the head of the universal form of the Lord and are thus considered to be the most important members of the social body. The Shudras and Griths are situated on the legs and abdomen of the universal form of the Lord, so they are considered to be inferior in status. Everyone is born with a particular intelligence and social position, and in consideration of those, one is placed within the Varnashrama system. The Brahman, Varan, and the Sannyas ashram are situated in the higher position of the Lord's universal form, and thus they are in the topmost positions of society. Because Kshatriyas and Vanaprathas are situated on the Lord's arms and chest, they are also considered to be in superior positions. The Vaishya Varna and Brahmacharya ashrams are situated on the lower limbs of the universal form, so they are accepted as inferior statuses. The Shudras and the Griths are accepted as having an even lower status. This is the situation of the social and spiritual orders within the Varnashram system. Shamo, Damas, Tapashocham, Santosha, Kshantir, Arjavan, Mad, Bhaktis, Chadya, Satyam, Brahm, Prakritias, Ima. Peacefulness, control of the senses, austerity, cleanliness, satisfaction, forgiveness, simplicity, devotion to me, compassion, and truthfulness are the natural qualities of Brahmins. So Brahman is not by birth, but Brahman according to these qualities. So the phrase Mad Bhakti refers to Guni Bhut Bhakti. So Bhakti according to the guns. One cannot find much lust or anger in the nature of a Brahman. For this reason, a Brahman does not indulge in unrestricted sense gratification, but instead takes pleasure in discussing devotional literature. Purity, steadiness due to an absence of dissatisfaction. Okay, so that means a full contentment, no desires. Tolerance, simplicity, inclination toward the Lord's service, compassion for all living entities, and truthfulness. These 8 characteristics to be found in the Brahmins. So Brahman is one who has these qualities. Tejo, balam, dhriti, shauryam, titikshaho, daryam, udhyama. Satharyam, brahmanyam, ashwaryam, kshatra, prakrityas, tva ima. Prowess, bodily strength, patience, heroism, tolerance, magnanimity, enthusiasm, steadiness, devotion to the Brahmins, and leadership are the natural qualities of the Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas naturally possess great prowess, patience, heroism, tolerance, magnanimity, enthusiasm, steadiness, devotion, and leadership. Okay? So these are the qualities of a Kshatriya, and we have seen this in Bhagavad Gita also in detail when Lord Krishna explained this Varnashram for us. Okay? So it's very easy to understand. Verse number 18. Astikyam dana nishtha cha adambho brahma sevanam atushtir arthopjad yer vaishye praprityas to ima. Faith in Vedic culture, an inclination to give charity, freedom from pride, service to the Brahmins, and a perpetual desire to accumulate more and more money are the natural qualities of the Vaishyas. So Vaishyas are the businessmen of today's. So they do want to earn money, but they want to use the money for the betterment of the society. That's why you see Dhanam, Nishtha, Astikyam. They are not Nastik, they're Astik. They believe in God. The true Vaishyas are not mere businessmen. They have faith in the eternity of the soul, take pleasure in giving charity, are free from the false pride, serve those who are well versed in the Vedic literature because they understand the value of the Vedic literature, and have a continuous thirst for accumulating wealth. So they have that thirst, but they use that money properly. That is Vaishya in the true sense. Verse number 19. Shrushnam dvijgavam devanam chapye amaya tatra labdhen santosha shudra prakrityas tva ima. Service without duplicity to the Brahmins, cows, demigods, and other worshipful personalities, and satisfaction with whatever is obtained by such service are the natural qualities of Shudras. In Vedic society, Shudras are satisfied by whatever they receive as remuneration for services rendered, because the higher classes of men are trained to be charitable toward those who are less fortunate. Okay? So if the workers are paid with respect for the work they do, then the workers don't have to steal. If there's a respect for each other, the society keeps on moving forward beautifully. So the higher classes of men are trained to be charitable toward those who are less fortunate. And thus they never lack the necessities of life. So that means their needs are being met. They don't have to become greedy. They don't have to steal. They don't have to cheat. But if the higher class does not do what they are supposed to do, then definitely the flaws come in the lower classes too. So it's almost like if the parents do the duties properly, then the children, of course, they'll follow the rules too. So everybody is supposed to do their duty properly. Let's do one more verse and then we'll stop it here, this class. So verse number 20. Ashocham anritam satyam nastikyam shushka vigraha kamaha krodhas tatatarshasya sabhavo niyatyav sayanama. Lack of cleanliness, dishonesty, thievery, very little faith in God, unnecessary quarrel, lust, anger, and great hankering are the nature of the lowest among men, who are outside the Varnashrama system. So outside the Varnashrama system, according to these flaws. Okay, so Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But if somebody has these flaws in the personality, then they say they're outside. So these were the outcasts according to these flaws. So this verse describes the qualities of those who live outside the Varnashram system. Such persons are referred as Anteya. So it's like an outsider, because they are not following the system properly. So we're going to stop it here because we did the first 20 verses, and let's do the Shanti part, and we can do some discussion. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.